She agreed to be the Mafia boss's fake girlfriend at Christmas. What happened? There will shock you. The moment Olivia walked into that Christmas mansion with Matteo Ricci, everything changed. She had agreed to be the Mafia boss's fake girlfriend for one night, nothing more. But the way his entire family stopped, stared, whispered, and reacted made it clear that nothing about that moment felt fake. And what happened inside that house? No one, not even Olivia, was ready for it. Everyone in that building knew that Matteo Ricci did not ask for favors. He gave orders. He made decisions. People adjusted. That was why the entire floor went quiet when his office door opened and his voice came out low and direct. "Olivia, my office, now." Olivia Parker looked up from her laptop, fingers pausing over the keyboard. She had been buried in emails, contracts, and calendar reminders since 8 in the morning. Her hair was tied up in a messy bun, her glasses slipping down her nose, her black sweater too simple to notice. People rarely looked at her twice, but everyone looked now. She took a breath, grabbed her notebook and pen, and stood. The other assistants lowered their eyes, pretending to work while listening to every step she took across the polished floor. She entered Matteo's corner office, and the door closed behind her with a soft click. New York spread out behind him through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Buildings, traffic, and gray December sky. A tall, elegant Christmas tree stood near the glass, decorated in white and gold. The lights twinkled quietly, the only soft thing in the room. Matteo stood by his desk, jacket off, sleeves rolled up his forearms. He wore a white shirt, dark tie loosened at the collar, and a silver watch at his wrist. His dark hair was pushed back, his jaw shadowed with the start of a beard. He barely glanced at the notebook in her hand. "You can sit," he said. Olivia sat in the leather chair opposite him, posture straight, pen ready. She knew him well enough to sense when something was serious. His eyes were sharper than usual. His movements were calm, but there was weight behind them. "Is there a problem with tonight's event?" she asked. "I confirmed the catering and security. All the cars are scheduled, and—" "It's not logistics," he interrupted. Her heart jumped at the way he said it. He walked to the front of the desk and leaned back against it, folding his arms. From there, he was closer to her, towering over her even when he was relaxed. He watched her for a second, like he was studying her face. "I need something from you," he said. That alone was strange. Matteo did not need things from people. He demanded them. Olivia forced a small smile. "Anything work-related, I can handle." "It's not work-related." His tone stayed flat, but his eyes did not move away. At least not directly. She frowned. "I don't understand." He took a breath like someone about to make a decision that annoyed him. "My family Christmas party is tonight," he said. "I know. It starts at 8. Your aunt called twice to confirm your presence." She gestured at the notebook. "You asked me to send flowers to your grandmother and they all expect me to show up with a date." He cut in. That she did not expect. Her pen slipped slightly in her hand. "A date?" "Yes." "Well," she cleared her throat, "you could take anyone you want." "No," he said simply. "I can't." "Why not?" He stared at her like the answer was obvious. "You know what they are like. They talk, they exaggerate, they spread things. There have been rumors about me. Some of them are dangerous in my world. I need to control the narrative." She knew what his world meant, even if no one said it out loud. The Ricci family name carried power. People in certain circles lowered their voices when they mentioned it. "You want to calm the gossip?" she said. "Yes." "And you want a date to show them you're stable?" She almost laughed at the idea of him needing to prove anything to anyone. His jaw tightened. "I want someone next to me who I can rely on," he said. "Someone who will not get drunk. Someone who will not embarrass me. Someone who will not try to take pictures or post everything online. Someone who understands what I say, when I say it, without asking for explanations." Her confusion grew. "You want a bodyguard or a girlfriend?" A short sound left his chest, not quite a laugh. "Tonight," he said, "I want both." He paused. "I want you." The notebook almost slipped off her lap. "Me?" she repeated. "Yes." He did not look away. I want you to go with me as my girlfriend. Her throat went dry. I'm sorry, what? You heard me. He straightened, placing both hands on the edge of the desk. You know my schedule better than I do. You are calm under pressure. You know when to speak and when to stay quiet. You already protect my name in public. Tonight, you will do the same thing, just in a different role. As your fake girlfriend, she said slowly. Correct. She stared at him, trying to understand if this was some kind of test, some twisted exercise of loyalty. But your family knows I'm your assistant, she said. They know I have an assistant. His voice turned slightly impatient. They don't know who you are. They have never seen you. As far as they know, you are a name in my contacts list. She looked down at herself. Black sweater, plain skirt, minimal makeup, glasses that hid her eyes, hair tied back because it was easier that way. I don't look like the kind of woman your family expects, she said quietly. What do you think they expect? He asked. Someone glamorous, someone used to your world, someone who walks into a room and takes all the attention. She shrugged carefully. Not someone who spends 12 hours a day behind a computer. He watched her, and something unreadable crossed his face for a brief second. Tonight you won't look like this, he said. You will dress for the event. You will look like my girlfriend. I have no doubt you can do that. Her chest tightened. Why me, Mateo? You could ask any woman, she said. Because I trust you, he answered without hesitation. I don't trust any of the others. The certainty in his tone made her stomach flip. She thought about what it meant, about walking into his family home on his arm, about a room full of people who had never seen him with anyone, about the rumors, the expectations. How long would this fake relationship last? She asked. One night, he said. You come with me. You stay at my side. We leave when I decide. Tomorrow it goes back to normal. Her logical side reminded her that this was no different from any other crisis she managed for him. Another task, another night. Her heart, however, beat faster at the idea. And what do I get in return? She asked, the words leaving her mouth before she could stop them. His brow lifted. You're negotiating with me now? I handle your meetings, emergencies, and the fact that you send emails at 3 a.m, she said, forcing courage into her voice. If I'm going to walk into your family's Christmas party pretending I'm your girlfriend, I want something that matters. His lips curved just enough to show he was interested. What do you want? He asked. She had thought about this for weeks, but never had the nerve to ask. A full week off in January, she said. Paid, no calls, no messages, no last-minute crises. You let Ryan handle everything. Silence. He studied her like she was a deal on the table. 1 week, he repeated. Yes. You plan to survive a week without me? He asked. You plan to survive a week without me? She shot back. For the first time that day, his eyes warmed. Fair point, he said. He straightened and extended his hand. 1 week off, he said, and tonight, you are mine. The way he said it hit deeper than she expected. She hesitated only a second before closing her hand around his. His grip was firm, warm. The contact made her suddenly aware of how close he was standing. Deal, she said. Mateo. His gaze flicked to her mouth when she said his first name. Good, he said quietly. I'll send a car for you at 7. Dress appropriately. What does appropriately mean to you? She asked. He released her hand slowly. You'll figure it out. Her heart was still racing when he turned his back to her, picking up his phone and checking his messages like he hadn't just turned her life upside down. You can go, he added. And Olivia? She paused at the door. Yes? Don't be late. On the subway ride home, she could still feel the imprint of his hand on hers. The December wind greeted her the moment she stepped out onto the sidewalk in Queens. She pulled her coat tighter against her body and hurried up the stairs to her apartment. Her place was small but comfortable. Soft blankets, warm colors, a little fake tree near the window with cheap lights she loved anyway. The city lights glowed beyond the glass, mixed with snow that hadn't settled yet. She dropped her bag on the couch and kicked off her boots. The mirror in the hallway showed the same version of herself Matteo saw every day. Plain sweater, tight bun, glasses, tired eyes. "Fake girlfriend," she said to her reflection. "What are you doing?" Her phone buzzed on the table. "Hannah, still alive, or did your boss schedule a meeting at midnight?" Olivia smiled despite everything. Hannah was her best friend since college, now living across town, always dramatic. "Olivia, something insane happened." "Hannah, did he finally fire you so you can sleep?" Olivia, "Worse. He asked me to go to his family Christmas party." Hannah, "That's not insane. That's cute." Olivia, as his fake girlfriend. There was a pause. Then the typing bubbles appeared and didn't stop. Hannah, "No way." Hannah, "No way." Hannah, "No way." Hannah, "Are you serious?" Olivia walked into her bedroom, balancing the phone in one hand and opening the closet with the other. The hangers slid on the metal bar, revealing the same problem she already knew she had. Work blouses, cardigans, a few simple dresses that were fine for basic dinners, but not for a Mafia family Christmas event. "Hannah, tell me everything, right now." Olivia called her. Hannah answered on the first ring. "Start talking," Hannah demanded, "and don't leave anything out." Olivia sat on the edge of the bed. "He needs to stop rumors. He wants someone he can trust. He said I'm calm, I don't drink, I don't post everything online, so he asked me to go as his girlfriend tonight." Hannah gasped loud enough that Olivia moved the phone away from her ear. "This is literally a Christmas romance plot," Hannah said. "Do you hear yourself?" "It's not a romance," Olivia insisted. "It's a cover, and I asked for something in exchange." "You asked for money?" Hannah asked. "No, a week off in January." Hannah whistled. "You're my hero," Olivia sighed. "I don't have a dress for this, or shoes, or anything that looks like fake girlfriend of a very rich, very dangerous man." "I'm coming over," Hannah said. "I have dresses, I have heels, I have makeup. Don't argue." "Hannah." The line went dead. A text followed. "Hannah, I'm on my way. Don't panic, and don't back out." Olivia ended up laughing, even with the knot in her stomach. She took a quick shower, washed her hair, and let it fall naturally around her shoulders just to see how it looked. It felt strange to see it down. She usually pinned it up out of habit and convenience. By the time Hannah arrived, arms full of garment bags and a makeup case, Olivia's small living room looked like a dressing room. "This is an emergency," Hannah said, kicking the door closed behind her. "Move. Let me see you." Olivia stood there in her robe, hair towel-dried, face bare. Hannah walked around her like a stylist inspecting a client. "Good base," Hannah muttered. "Great hair when it's down." Pretty eyes hidden behind those librarian glasses. "They help me see," Olivia said. "Tonight, contacts," Hannah replied. No arguments. They tried 3 dresses before finding the right one, a deep emerald green that picked up the color of Olivia's eyes. It had thin straps, a fitted waist, and a skirt that brushed her knees. Classy, not loud, elegant, but not uncomfortable. Hannah did her makeup with patient hands, even skin, a touch of blush, subtle eyeshadow, black eyeliner that lifted her gaze, mascara that made her lashes long and soft. She filled Olivia's lips with a rich, warm red that felt completely different from her usual lip balm. Contacts replaced her glasses. A delicate necklace rested against her collarbone. Small gold earrings caught the light when she moved her head. When they were done, Hannah pushed her in front of the mirror. Olivia stared. The woman looking back at her was still her, but sharpened. Softer skin, brighter eyes, hair falling in glossy waves. The green dress hugged her body in all the right places without being vulgar. The red lips made her mouth stand out in a way she was not used to. "See?" Hannah said proudly. "You look like the kind of woman a man like Matteo Ricci would show up with." Olivia's stomach flipped at the sound of his name linked with that image. "He's not my man," she said automatically. "Tonight he is," Hannah replied. "And I want details later. I want to know everything he says, and every time he looks at you like he has never seen you before." He never looks at me, Olivia said. Hannah crossed her arms. He will. Olivia grabbed her small black clutch and placed her phone, lipstick, and a few emergency items inside. She stepped into the black heels, tested her balance, and took a slow breath. The clock showed 6:55. Her heart started to hammer. Last chance to say no, Hannah said, but her tone made it clear she didn't mean it. Olivia shook her head. I made a deal, and you want that week off. And I want that week off, she agreed, managing a small smile. At exactly 7, headlights glowed through the window. A sleek black car stopped in front of the building. Olivia's throat tightened. That's him, she whispered. Of course it is. Hannah squeezed her shoulders gently. You've got this. Remember who you are. You're not just his assistant. You hold his whole life together. You can handle one night. Olivia nodded, grabbed her coat, and walked to the door. She paused with her hand on the knob. If I call you later and say it was a disaster, she began. I'll say, I told you so, and then bring ice cream, Hannah said. Olivia smiled, opened the door, and stepped into the cold hallway. The driver was already out of the car when she walked outside, pulling her coat tighter against the cold. Snowflakes floated lazily in the air, more decorative than threatening. Miss Parker? The driver asked. Yes, she said. He opened the rear door and nodded for her to enter. She took one more breath and slid inside. The warmth of the car wrapped around her instantly. Soft leather seats, the faint smell of cologne, and something rich she could never quite place. Matteo sat on the other side of the back seat, a dark coat over a black suit. His tie was perfectly in place now. His posture was relaxed, one arm resting on the seat, the other on his thigh. He was looking at his phone, typing a message. Sorry if I kept you, she started. He looked up. The words died in her throat. For a moment, everything in him went still. His eyes widened just slightly. His gaze skimmed over her face, her hair, the line of her shoulders, the dress, then slowly returned to her eyes. The silence stretched. Olivia felt heat climb into her cheeks. She shifted, clutching her coat in her lap. If this is too much, she said quickly, I can ask the driver to turn around and I'll change into something more. Don't, he said. The single word came out low, almost rough. He blinked once, like he was pulling himself together, then let his eyes travel over her again, slower this time. You look... He stopped, jaw tensing for a second as if choosing his words carefully. Very good. A laugh escaped her, short and nervous. Very good. That's... detailed. He leaned back in his seat, but his eyes did not leave her. You clean up well, Olivia, he said. If my family sees you like this, they will believe you're with me. That did something strange in her chest. I'll do my best to play the role, she replied. We have a few rules first, he said. Rules, she echoed. Yes. His tone switched to business, something familiar that oddly helped her relax. Rule 1, you stay close to me at all times. No wandering off alone. If you need something, you tell me or one of my men. Okay, she said. Rule 2, if anyone makes you uncomfortable, you tell me. You don't smile and pretend it's fine. She raised her brows. Even if it's someone from your family? Especially if it's someone from my family, he said. Understood. Rule 3, if I put my arm around you, hold your hand, or kiss your cheek, you go with it. Don't pull away. Don't act surprised. He held her gaze. You are my girlfriend tonight. It needs to look natural. Her pulse jumped. Right, she said, trying to sound calm. I can handle that. He watched her a second longer, as if checking if she meant it, then nodded. Do you have any questions? He asked. She swallowed. What are you going to tell them about how we met? The truth, he said. That you work for me. That I couldn't function without you. Her breath caught. Do you really want to tell them that? She asked. It's accurate, he said simply. She looked down at her hands in her lap and saw that they were trembling. She clenched them together to stop it. Aren't you nervous? She asked. No. She gave him a look. His mouth twitched. I don't like this kind of attention, but I don't get nervous. You're really going to walk in there and announce that you have a girlfriend? She asked. Yes. And when they ask how long we've been together? She pressed. He thought for a moment. 3 months. Why 3 months? She asked. Long enough for it to be serious, he said. Short enough for them to believe they simply didn't know. She nodded slowly. And our first date? The rooftop restaurant on 5th, he said without hesitation. You wore a black dress. I spent the whole night watching you talk and ignored the food. She stared at him. You just made that up. That's what they want to hear, he said calmly. And if they ask me, you say the same, he replied. You can act shy if you want. They will think it's romantic. The car turned, leaving the busy streets and heading toward a quieter, more expensive neighborhood. Olivia, he said after a moment. Yes? You did well today, he said. Most people in your position would have panicked. I'm panicking, she said. I'm just doing it internally. He almost smiled. Keep doing it like that. It works. She studied his face for a moment, the strong line of his jaw, the focus in his eyes. Up close, with the city lights sliding through the windows, he looked both untouchable and unexpectedly human. Mateo? She said. What happens after tonight? She asked. With your family. With this story. We let it fade, he said. Or we use it again if we need to. She swallowed. And at the office? At the office, he said. You go back to being my assistant. A small, strange ache opened in her chest at how easily he said it. Right, she said softly. Of course. The Ricci family property appeared at the end of a long, lit driveway. White lights wrapped around the trees, outlining their branches. Garlands decorated the front railing. Wreaths hung on the big double doors. Through the wide windows, she could see movement and color, people walking past, the glow of a tall tree in the main hall. The car slowed to a stop near the entrance. Olivia's hands grew cold despite the warmth of the car. You're not backing out, Mateo said, watching her reaction. No, she answered quickly. A deal is a deal. He looked satisfied with that. The driver stepped out to open the door on Mateo's side first. Mateo adjusted his coat, then looked at her one last time from inside the car. Ready? He asked. No, she thought. Yes, she said. He stepped out. Cold air rushed in for a second. Then the driver opened her door. She gathered her coat in one arm, placed her hand in Mateo's when he offered it, and stood. The night was colder here, quieter. Music and voices floated from inside the house. She could hear laughter, clinking glasses, a child shouting something. Mateo helped her slip out of her coat, his hands brushing her shoulders as he lowered the fabric down her arms. He handed the coat to a staff member waiting by the door. When he turned back to her, she was fully visible under the soft entrance lights. His gaze moved over her slowly, starting at her shoes and climbing up the line of her legs. The green dress, the delicate necklace, her face. His eyes darkened, and this time there was no way for him to hide it. For one brief second, Mateo Ricci looked like a man who had been hit by something he did not see coming. He stepped closer, his hand sliding around her waist like it belonged there. His fingers rested firmly at the small of her back, guiding her toward the door. You look, he began, voice lower. He stopped, swallowed, and tried again. You look perfect. Her heart tripped. Remember, he added, leaning closer so only she could hear. Tonight, you're mine. The door opened before she could answer, and warm light spilled out over them. Voices rose from inside, heads turned. Someone called his name. Mateo tightened his hold on her. Olivia took one step forward with him, then another, walking into a house full of people who had been waiting years to see Mateo Ricci, with a woman on his arm. And none of them had any idea how much this fake Christmas night was about to change. The moment Mateo and Olivia crossed the threshold, the air changed. Warm light filled the entrance hall, golden, festive, almost overwhelming. A tall Christmas tree sparkled near the staircase, decorated with red ribbons, white lights, and crystal ornaments that reflected everything around them. Voices echoed from different rooms, conversations mixing with Christmas music coming from hidden speakers. But the loudest sound was the collective gasp when people realized Matteo Ricci had walked in with a woman on his arm. Every head turned, every whisper stopped, every glass paused mid-air. Olivia felt the weight of dozens of curious eyes scanning her from head to toe, evaluating, comparing, guessing. Matteo's hand pressed gently but firmly at the curve of her waist, keeping her close. The small gesture grounded her in the middle of all the attention. A woman in her late 50s, elegant in a burgundy dress and sparkling earrings, hurried toward them. "Matteo!" she exclaimed, grabbing his face with both hands and kissing each cheek. "Finalmente, mio caro, we were waiting for you." "Aunt Rosa," Matteo greeted, his tone softening. Then Rosa turned her full attention to Olivia, and her reaction was priceless. Her eyes widened, her mouth fell open. She grabbed Olivia's hands immediately. "And who is this beautiful girl?" Matteo's fingers tightened around Olivia's waist. "This is Olivia," he said, "my girlfriend." The word echoed like a shockwave. Several people nearby gasped. A man choked on his drink. Someone whispered, "He brought someone." Another said, "It's happening. It's really happening." Aunt Rosa put a hand over her heart. "Matteo Ricci, you brought a girlfriend to Christmas and didn't call me. I should hit you with my shoe." Olivia laughed nervously. "It's wonderful to meet you, Aunt Rosa." Rosa squeezed her hands tighter. "You call me Aunt Rosa already? Dio mio, I love her. Matteo, don't lose this one." Olivia's cheeks warmed. Matteo cleared his throat. "We just arrived." "We should..." Before he could finish, more relatives crowded around them. Uncles, cousins, distant family, all talking at once. "How long have you been together? When did you meet? Where did he take you on your first date? Matteo, quando farai una proposta?" The questions piled on Olivia like snowflakes. Thousands, harmless but overwhelming. Matteo answered some smoothly. "We've been together for a few months. We met at work. She keeps my world together." Each answer made Olivia's stomach turn in a new, unexpected way. Then someone shouted, "We need pictures!" Before she could protest, a cousin with a camera dragged them toward the tree. Matteo placed his arm fully around her waist, pulling her flush against his side. When the flash went off, Matteo lowered his head slightly, his breath brushing her ear. "You're doing well," he murmured. Her skin tingled. "I'm trying." "Don't try," he whispered. "Just stay with me." Click. Another picture. And another. Some cousins squealed because Matteo had never taken pictures with a woman before. Children gathered at the bottom of the frame, smiling. A baby cried. Someone spilled wine and blamed the excitement. When the camera session ended, Matteo guided her toward the living room area where a long dining table sat beautifully decorated with candles, wine, and plates of appetizers. Everywhere she looked, people kept glancing at her, whispering behind glasses. It was flattering, terrifying, and oddly thrilling. She leaned toward Matteo. "Are they always like this?" "This is calm for them," he said dryly. That was terrifying on its own. A cousin in her 40s waved them over. "Matteo, bring your beautiful girlfriend. Sit with us." He led Olivia to a sofa, sitting close enough that their thighs touched. The heat of his body seeped into her skin in a way that was impossible to ignore. "Olivia," the cousin began, "you must tell us everything." "When did Matteo first ask you out?" Olivia hesitated. Matteo answered for her. "She said no the first time." Everyone gasped dramatically. Olivia turned, eyebrows raised. "I did?" He leaned closer, his hand resting on her thigh for the first time, warm, gentle, sending a shiver up her spine. "You said you were busy," he murmured. She nearly forgot to breathe. "And I insisted," he added louder for the others. The women at the table swooned. "He insisted! Matteo, finalmente sei umano!" Olivia laughed, the tension easing, and that's when a younger boy, maybe 16, leaned toward her with admiration all over his face. "Miss Olivia," he said shyly, You're much prettier than the girls Mateo usually talks to." Mateo shot him a warning look. The boy paled. "Sorry. I meant you look really nice." Olivia laughed softly. "Thank you." The boy brightened. "Do you like video games?" Mateo groaned quietly under his breath, which made Olivia bite back a smile. She answered kindly, and the boy launched into an enthusiastic explanation about his game collection. Mateo stared at him as if considering exile. Olivia hid her smile behind her glass of water. For a moment, everything felt warm and almost normal, like being part of a family she had never belonged to before. Then a smooth, teasing voice broke the moment. Well, look who decided to show up with company." Olivia stiffened. Mateo's grip on her thigh tightened slightly. A tall man in a fitted green shirt and a confident smile walked toward them, wine glass in hand. Ethan, Mateo's cousin, the one the entire family whispered about in half-joking, half-worried tones. "Ethan," Mateo said flatly. Ethan ignored him and focused on Olivia. His gaze dropped to her dress, then slowly back to her eyes. Too slowly. "You must be the legendary girlfriend I've heard absolutely nothing about," Ethan said with a smirk. "I'm Ethan, the better-looking Ricci." Olivia forced a polite smile. "Nice to meet you." Ethan sat on the arm of the sofa, far too close for Mateo's liking. "You know," he began, swirling his wine, "I always thought Mateo would end up with someone cold, distant, maybe terrifying like him." Mateo glared. Ethan continued, ignoring it. "But you're surprisingly sweet and beautiful." "Very beautiful, actually." Olivia opened her mouth to respond, but Mateo spoke first. "Ethan," he said sharply, "that's enough." Ethan shrugged. "Relax, cousin, I'm complimenting her." "It doesn't sound like a compliment," Mateo muttered. Ethan smiled wider. "I'm just saying, if Mateo doesn't treat you right, you should know the rest of the Ricci men are available." Olivia felt Mateo's entire body stiffen. "Merry Christmas," Ethan added with a wink. Then he walked away with a grin, leaving Mateo practically vibrating with irritation. Olivia touched Mateo's arm gently. "He's just teasing. It's fine." "No," Mateo said immediately. "He was flirting with you." She blinked. "It was harmless." "It wasn't harmless to me," Mateo muttered, jaw tight. Her heart jumped at the possessive tone. He leaned closer, voice low enough that only she could hear. "You're mine tonight," he said. "He needs to remember that." Olivia swallowed, pulse quickening. "He probably meant it as a joke." Mateo shook his head slowly. "He meant it, and he needs to stay away from you." Something warm spread through her chest, a mix of nerves, butterflies, and something she wasn't ready to name. She didn't want to admit it, but hearing Mateo sound jealous stirred something deep inside her, the kind of something that shouldn't exist in a fake arrangement. Before she could answer, Aunt Rosa clapped her hands loudly from across the room. "Everyone, dinner is ready. Come, come, and Mateo, bring your lovely girl with you." Mateo stood and offered Olivia his hand. She took it. His grip was firm, protective. They walked to the dining room together, surrounded by chatter, laughter, and curious eyes. But Olivia only felt one thing: Mateo's fingers intertwined with hers, and the way he didn't let go. When they reached the table, Mateo pulled her chair out for her, surprising everyone, including Olivia. The gesture was gentle, elegant, almost old-fashioned. Families around the table watched them with fascination. When Mateo sat beside her, his knee brushed hers under the table. He didn't move it away. Conversation flowed again, but Olivia felt Mateo's attention drifting to her every few seconds, checking if she was okay, if she needed anything, if anyone bothered her. At one point, Aunt Rosa leaned in across the table. "So, Olivia," she said, eyes sparkling mischievously, "when did you realize you liked Mateo?" Olivia froze. Mateo looked at her as if the answer mattered far more than it should have. She forced a small smile. "I guess I started liking him the day I realized he wasn't as intimidating as he looks." Aunt Rosa raised a brow. "And when was that?" Olivia laughed nervously. "Last week." The table erupted in laughter. Even Matteo smiled, the expression small and rare. Then, from across the table, Ethan's voice floated again. "I told you she was too good for you, Matteo." Matteo's jaw tightened, but Olivia reached under the table and touched his knee softly. "Don't," she whispered. His eyes met hers. Something softened inside him. He covered her hand with his, fingers warm and steady. "Fine," he murmured. "For you." The rest of dinner passed with teasing, questions, and a growing sense of belonging Olivia had never felt before. But the night wasn't over, not even close, and trouble was only starting to simmer. Because as Matteo escorted her toward the living room after dinner, someone announced, "It's time for the Ricci family Christmas game." Everyone cheered. Olivia blinked. "Game?" Matteo exhaled with dread. "You're about to learn something important about my family." "What?" "They live for this moment," he muttered. "And we can't escape." She laughed. "How bad can it be?" Matteo looked at her with a seriousness that made her stomach flip. "You're about to find out." The living room transformed in seconds. The long dining table had been pushed aside, kids ran around dragging cushions, uncles arranged chairs in a half circle, and aunts adjusted their glasses as if preparing for a championship match. Everyone had the same infectious excitement, like this game was the highlight of every Ricci Christmas. Olivia stood at Matteo's side, trying to understand what was happening, while his grip on her waist remained firm, anchoring her against his body. "What exactly is this game?" she whispered. Matteo sighed, the sound long and resigned. "A family tradition. That doesn't explain anything." "It's chaos," he said simply. "Don't overthink it." Before she could ask again, Aunt Rosa climbed onto a small step stool, clapped her hands and shouted, "Attention! Tonight we welcome a very special guest, Olivia." The entire family erupted into applause and cheers. Kids screamed, someone whistled. Even the old grandfather in the corner lifted his glass. Olivia wanted to disappear. Rosa continued, hands high in the air. "And since Matteo finally decided to join the human race and bring a girlfriend, we will begin with the couple compatibility round." "Oh no," Matteo muttered. Olivia felt her stomach drop. "Couple compatibility?" "It sounds worse than it is," he said. "How bad is it?" He hesitated. "Bad." Before she could run, Aunt Rosa pointed at her dramatically. "Olivia, my dear, come sit here." A single decorative chair had been placed in the middle of the room. Spotlights might as well have been shining on it. "Oh God," Olivia whispered. Matteo touched her lower back gently. "I'm with you," he said. "Right behind you." That helped. A little. She walked to the chair and sat, crossing her ankles delicately, trying to look composed while the room buzzed with excitement. Aunt Rosa grinned. "Perfect. Now, Matteo, come stand beside her." Matteo stepped forward and placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Rosa lifted a basket full of folded papers. "These are questions. Questions that decide if a couple is meant to be or if they are doomed." "Doomed," Matteo repeated dryly. "Really?" Aunt Rosa ignored him. "First question," she announced grandly. "Who said I love you first?" Olivia's eyes widened. Matteo's jaw tightened. "We're not—" Olivia began. "Matteo," Rosa interrupted. "Answer." He glanced at Olivia for a long second. His stare was heavy, warm, almost too intimate. "If I had said it," he said slowly, "she would have been the first to know." The room sighed collectively. A few women pressed hands to their chests. Olivia's cheeks burned. Rosa cackled. "We accept that answer. Next question." She pulled another paper. "What was Matteo's first impression of Olivia?" Olivia stiffened. Matteo's fingers brushed her shoulder and his voice came out low. "I noticed she was quiet." Olivia fought the urge to laugh. "Quiet, quiet," he repeated. "And smarter than everyone else in the room, including me." Someone shouted, "He admitted it! He admitted it!" Matteo glared at the cousin responsible. Rosa waved dramatically and dove into the basket again. "Oh, this one is good. What does Olivia do that annoys Matteo the most? Olivia turned her head to look up at him. Well? He didn't hesitate. Nothing she does annoys me, Matteo said simply. The room collectively melted. Olivia swallowed. She wasn't supposed to feel anything when he said things like this. It wasn't real, but his voice didn't sound fake. Another aunt fanned herself loudly. Matteo, you're going to make the girl faint. Rosa read another question. If Matteo had to choose one thing he loves most about Olivia, what would it be? Olivia tensed instantly. So did Matteo. The room fell silent. He stared down at her, jaw tense, breathing shallow. For the first time that night, he looked uncertain. After a long pause, he said softly, She listens. Then slower, She understands me. The room sighed again. Olivia felt something inside her chest squeeze painfully. Before she could recover, someone called out, Momento do desafio. The children cheered. Rosa clapped joyfully. Yes, the challenge round. Matteo, come forward. Matteo groaned. Rosa, no. Too late, Rosa said. You must complete the challenge with your beautiful girlfriend. Olivia whispered, horrified. Challenge? Rosa pointed at Matteo dramatically. Lift her! Olivia blinked. What? Lift her like a groom lifts his bride. The room erupted in laughter and applause. Olivia shook her head instantly. No, no, no! But Matteo was already slipping an arm behind her back. Matteo, she hissed. It's just a game, he said, voice calm but eyes glinting with something far too warm. Relax. She didn't have time to argue. In one smooth motion, Matteo picked her up off the chair, lifting her effortlessly. The room exploded. Aunts squealed. Cousins applauded. A kid shouted, Uncle Matteo is strong! Olivia grabbed his shoulders, heart pounding, face burning. Put me down! No, he murmured, holding her securely, his face inches from hers. Not yet. She could feel his breath, his warmth, his heartbeat. He held her as if she weighed nothing. Rosa screamed, Pictures! Quick! Phones came out instantly. Matteo shot a murderous glare at his family. No pictures, he commanded. Everyone lowered their phones in disappointment. Matteo slowly set her back on her feet, but his hands didn't leave her waist. Her legs felt weak. Are you all right? He asked softly. She nodded, but her voice was gone. Rosa clapped once more. Next challenge, 5-second hug. Matteo didn't wait. He pulled her into his chest, arms wrapping around her protectively, his face brushing against her hair. Olivia froze. He smelled warm, clean, familiar. She felt his chest rise and fall, felt his fingers glide gently along her back. 5 seconds turned into 10, 15. The room went silent. Someone whispered, That's not a fake hug. Someone else whispered, Matteo is gone. He's so gone. Matteo finally pulled back, but not fully. His hand slid down her arm slowly, then rested at her hips for a moment too long. Olivia swallowed hard. Rosa cleared her throat dramatically. Well, that was something. The room laughed. For the final question, Rosa said, lifting one last paper, Does Matteo get jealous? Ethan appeared from the back of the room, leaning on the doorframe with a smirk. Oh, he gets jealous, Ethan said loudly. Trust me. Matteo's eyes snapped to him. Olivia tensed. Rosa raised her palms. Let the girlfriend answer. Every eye turned to Olivia. She glanced up at Matteo, at the tightened jaw, the darkened eyes, the possessive hand still on her hip. Yes, she said quietly. He does. The room erupted in cheers and teasing. Matteo exhaled slowly, then leaned down, his lips near her ear. That cousin of mine needs to keep his distance. Olivia shivered. He was just teasing. Don't defend him, Matteo said under his breath. I didn't like the way he looked at you. It was harmless. It wasn't harmless to me. Olivia's breath caught. The room suddenly filled with movement again as the challenge ended, and people rushed forward to congratulate them, ask more questions, or tease Matteo mercilessly. But Matteo didn't move. He kept his hand on her hip. His other hand slid lightly down her arm. He turned her gently to face him, blocking the view of the family behind him. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "You sure?" His voice was low. "Yes." Mateo's eyes softened. Something unguarded flickered in them. Something dangerous to her heart. Before she could speak, Ethan walked over again, wine glass in hand. "So," he said smugly, "Olivia, while you're playing games over here, have you considered—" Mateo stepped in front of her instantly. "One more word," he warned Ethan, "and I'm done pretending you're joking." Ethan smirked. "Relax, cousin. She's lovely. I'm just appreciating." "Don't," Mateo said. "Why?" Ethan teased. "Afraid she'll realize she has options?" Mateo's control snapped. He took a step toward Ethan, shoulders tight, jaw hard. Olivia reacted instantly, grabbing Mateo's arm. "Don't," she whispered urgently. "Mateo, don't do this here." His eyes stayed locked on Ethan for a long, dangerous moment. Then he inhaled slowly, forced his head to turn toward her, and met her eyes. The warmth in her gaze pulled him back from the edge. He exhaled. "For you," he said softly. She squeezed his arm gently. Ethan chuckled. "Interesting. Very interesting." He walked away, but Mateo kept watching him until he disappeared into the crowd. Olivia touched Mateo's chest lightly. "I'm fine, really." He covered her hand with his. "I know. I didn't expect to feel—" He cut himself off. She raised her brows. "To feel what?" He shook his head. "Never mind. Come with me." "Where?" "Somewhere quieter," he said. He slid his hand down her arm, laced his fingers with hers, and guided her toward the back of the house. As they walked through the doorway, Olivia's pulse raced. Matteo Ricci wasn't just playing a role anymore, and she could feel it. The balcony door closed behind them with a soft click, muffling the noise of the Ricci family inside. In there, laughter, music, and conversations blended together. Out here, there was only the cold night air, the faint scent of pine coming from the trees, and Matteo. He took a few steps forward, then stopped, hands in his pockets, eyes fixed on the ground for a moment before finally lifting them to her. Olivia felt her heart beating so hard it seemed to vibrate in her chest. "Why did you stop me back there?" Matteo asked bluntly, his voice low and tense. When Ethan kept talking, Olivia stepped closer slowly. "Because this is your family's Christmas party. You don't need a scene, and because I didn't want you to regret anything later." Matteo let out a short, humorless laugh. "Regret? The only thing I regret is not telling him to shut up sooner." She swallowed. "Matteo, he was just trying to get a reaction. That's what he does." "Exactly." Matteo took his hands out of his pockets and walked toward her slowly. "And he got one. Because of you." The air felt even colder. Or maybe she was the one shaking inside. "Because of me?" she repeated. He stopped less than a foot from her, close enough that she could feel the warmth of his body fighting the cold of the night. "Olivia," he said, softer now, "I'm not used to this." "Used to what?" she asked. He ran a hand through his hair, clearly frustrated with himself. "To feeling this way. To noticing every time someone looks at you. To getting angry when someone gets too close." Her heart jumped. "Matteo," she started, but he didn't let her finish. "Don't say it's nothing," he said. "Don't tell me it's just part of the act." Because it didn't feel like acting. She inhaled deeply, the cold air stinging her lungs. "I wasn't acting either." His eyes darkened in a way that made her knees threaten to give out. A gust of wind lifted a strand of her hair. Matteo lifted his hand slowly and tucked it behind her ear, his fingertips brushing her skin. The touch was so gentle she held her breath. "Look at you," he murmured. "You got into that car tonight and He stopped as if he were fighting his own words. "I haven't been able to stop looking at you since." Heat climbed to her cheeks. "You're only saying that because of the dress." "Don't do that," he said, firmer. "Don't pretend it's the dress." She opened her mouth to say something rational, something safe, but nothing came out. Matteo stepped even closer, his hands falling naturally to her waist, like they belonged there, even though this was the first time. "Olivia," he said, her name sounding different in his voice. The whole night I kept thinking, how did I never notice you before? She swallowed hard. People don't notice their assistants outside the office. That's normal. Not noticing you was the mistake, he said without looking away. Her breath faltered. Matteo. She tried to step back, but he held her waist a little firmer, not forcing, just sure. This is fake, remember? It's just one night. Is it? He asked. Yes, she whispered. We made a deal. He leaned his head closer, close enough that the tip of his nose brushed hers. And how do you feel right now? Does this feel like a deal? She bit her lower lip, too nervous to lie. No, she admitted. It doesn't. Something flashed in his eyes, relief, desire, fear, all at once. He lifted a hand, touching her chin gently and tipping her face up toward his. Olivia, he whispered. If you want me to stop, say it. She didn't move. In any other situation, she would have said it. She would have put logic above emotion. She would have remembered this was an arrangement, a favor, not something real. But nothing about tonight seemed to follow the rules of the real world. So instead of saying stop, she said, don't. His eyes closed for a second, a muscle jumping in his jaw. He leaned in slowly, as if holding himself back with invisible threads, the tip of his nose brushing hers, when the balcony door suddenly opened. Matteo! A woman's voice called. They jumped apart so fast the air between them seemed to break. Aunt Rosa stood at the door with her hands on her hips. Why are you two freezing out here? Come inside, the dessert is ready. Matteo took a long breath, pulling himself together. We're coming. Rosa smiled, looking between them like someone who knew exactly what she had interrupted, then shut the door. A heavy silence settled. Olivia crossed her arms over her chest. We should go back. Matteo exhaled through his nose, clearly trying to regain control. Right. He extended his hand to her. For a moment she hesitated. If she took that hand, something would shift. They wouldn't walk back into that living room as the same two people who had stepped out onto the balcony. But the truth? Something had already shifted. So she placed her hand in his. His fingers closed around hers like it was the most natural thing in the world, more natural than it should have been. They walked back inside hand in hand, and no one hid their enthusiasm. The whole room turned toward them, and everyone saw the expression Matteo tried to hide and the pink on Olivia's cheeks. Aunts elbowed each other. Cousins raised their brows. Kids grinned. The grandmother, sitting near the fireplace, made the sign of the cross as if she had just witnessed a Christmas miracle. Finally, she whispered. Olivia laughed, embarrassed. Matteo kept her hand in his, guiding her toward the dessert table. Then Ethan appeared, of course, at exactly the worst moment. He approached with a teasing smile. Enjoying your little romantic getaway on the balcony? Matteo didn't even look at him. Don't start. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Why? Did she calm you down? Olivia squeezed Matteo's hand, silently pleading, don't answer. He answered anyway. She makes everything calm, Matteo said without hesitation. Ethan froze for a second. So did Olivia. Even the gossipiest aunt in the room gasped. Matteo looked surprised at his own honesty, but he didn't take it back. Olivia's heart beat so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. Ethan recovered, smirking. Interesting. Very interesting. Matteo finally looked at him. Stay away from her. Or what? Ethan challenged. Olivia pulled Matteo's arm gently. Please. He inhaled deeply, clearly wanting to say more, but forcing himself to stop. Ethan stepped back with both hands raised. Fine, fine. I'll leave the lovers alone. He walked away. Olivia released a slow breath. That could have escalated. Matteo met her eyes. I don't care about him. I care about you. The world around her faded, until a loud aunt grabbed both of them and announced, It's time for the official photos. More photos, more smiles, more teasing. Matteo never left her side, never let go of her hand, and from time to time his arm slid around her waist like he needed to remind himself she was there, with him. When the final photo was taken, the room calmed down, people moved to desserts, and children ran around chasing sweets. Olivia finally felt she could breathe again. But Matteo leaned close, his lips brushing her ear as he whispered, "Later, we need to talk again." She swallowed hard. "About what?" she whispered. He slid his thumb slowly across her hand, gentle, intimate. About what almost happened on the balcony. Her heart raced, and Matteo walked away, leaving her standing there for a few seconds, trying to recover from the promise he had just made. Matteo didn't stop looking at her. Even with the living room full, kids running, aunts talking loudly, and Christmas music playing in the background, his eyes kept going back to Olivia. When he made that small gesture with his hand, calling her over, her knees felt weak. She walked toward him slowly, feeling every step. He was standing near the fireplace now, a glass of water in his hand, blazer open, tie slightly loose. More relaxed on the outside, much less relaxed on the inside. When she stopped in front of him, he didn't smile. He just looked at her like he was trying to sort his thoughts. "You disappeared," he said. "I was in the kitchen," she replied. "Your aunt wanted help with the desserts." "Of course she did," he muttered. "They already love you." Olivia shrugged. "They're very kind." He took a breath. "We still need to talk." Her throat went dry. "About the balcony." "About everything," he corrected. Before he could continue, Aunt Rosa's voice cut through the air again. "Everyone, come back to the living room. It's time for the second round of the game." Matteo closed his eyes for a second. "They don't stop." Olivia almost laughed. "You said this is calm for them." "I lied," he replied. "This is war." Even so, he took her hand again. "Come on," he said. "If we refuse, they'll come here and drag us out." They went back to the center of the room. The chairs had been rearranged into a circle, now with a small table in the middle. On it, a bell, some cards, and 2 little name signs. One said Matteo, the other said Olivia. Olivia's eyes widened. "Oh no!" Rosa clapped her hands. "Couple quiz time," Matteo murmured, low enough only for her to hear. "I should have left when I had the chance." She took a breath. Too late now. They sat side by side, facing the entire family, each with their name sign in hand. Aunt Rosa picked up a card from the center of the table. "Rules. I ask a question about the couple. You lift the sign with the name of the person who fits the answer better. No lying. We can see your faces." The family applauded. Olivia could already feel her face burning. "First question," Rosa announced. "Who gets angry faster?" Without hesitation, Matteo raised the sign that said, Matteo. Olivia did too. The room exploded in laughter. "Very good," Rosa approved. "At least you both agree." Matteo tilted his head toward Olivia. "That was quick." "You almost punched your cousin at Christmas," she reminded him. "It wasn't a hard choice." His lips moved in almost a smile. Rosa picked up another card. "Who is more romantic?" Olivia thought for a second. She raised the Matteo sign. Matteo blinked, surprised, then slowly raised his with Olivia. "Ah!" The whole room reacted at once. Rosa laughed. "They don't agree." "Matteo, why do you think she is more romantic?" "Because she believes in people," Matteo said simply. "She still believes things can turn out right. I don't." Olivia felt a lump in her throat. "And Olivia," Rosa asked, "why do you think Matteo is more romantic?" She looked at him for a moment before answering. "Because tonight he's trying," she said. "He doesn't like this kind of attention, but he's doing it for his family. And for me." A collective ooh rippled through the room. The aunts sighed. The cousins whistled. Matteo spent a few seconds just staring at her, like he'd forgotten the rest of the world existed. "Next question," Rosa went on, eyes shining. "Who started liking the other first?" Olivia's heart raced. She knew what her truth was. Without thinking too much, she lifted the sign with Olivia. A few seconds later, she realized Mateo still hadn't raised his. Everyone waited. He finally lifted his sign slowly. The one with his own name. The room went wild. Of course, I knew it. He pretends he doesn't, but he always feels everything first. Olivia stared at Mateo, eyes wide. You, what? He looked right back at her, not avoiding anything. You really think I never noticed you? He asked quietly. I thought you only saw my emails, she answered. Your emails are very efficient, he said. But I have eyes. Before she could push him further, Rosa grabbed the next card. Who gets jealous more? They both raised Mateo at the same time. The family burst into laughter. Ethan, leaning against the wall with a glass of wine, lifted his hand. No argument here. Mateo shot him a deadly look, which only made everyone laugh more. Next question. Who apologizes first after a fight? Olivia hesitated. She raised Mateo. He looked at her surprised, then raised Olivia. Rosa pressed a hand to her chest. You two actually need to fight someday to figure this out. Let's skip that, Mateo grumbled. A few more questions came, some funny, others more intimate but still light. Who wakes up earlier? Who eats more dessert? Who works too much? In almost all of them, they showed they knew a lot about each other. In others, they surprised one another. Each answer, each laugh, each look tightened an invisible line between them. Then Rosa grabbed the last card. Last one, she announced, and then dessert. Very important question. She looked at both of them with a mischievous smile. Who fell harder? A heavy silence fell. Olivia's stomach flipped. She looked at Mateo. He wasn't looking at her. He stared at the floor for a second. She could have lifted either name. She could have turned it into a joke. She could have played it safe. But in the end, her fingers moved on their own. The sign that went up was Mateo. Her face burned, but she didn't lower it. For a few seconds, Mateo didn't move. The family held its breath. Then, very slowly, he lifted his sign. Olivia. The noise that followed was a mix of screams, laughter, hands hitting the table, and people repeating, I knew it. Look at that, and they're gone. Mateo finally looked at her. His eyes were different, more open, less guarded. Maybe we both did, he murmured. Her heart beat in a way that hurt a little. Rosa clapped. Game over. You passed. Now you can stay together forever. The whole room laughed. In the middle of the chaos, Mateo put the sign back on the table, stood up, and offered his hand to Olivia. Come on, he said, before they decide to marry us in the living room. She took his hand, still a little dazed. They stepped out of the center of attention as the family focused on the dessert table. This time, Mateo didn't take Olivia outside. He led her to a quieter corner of the room, near the stairs, where the music was softer and people were distracted with cake and panettone. He turned to her, still holding her hand, his thumb slowly brushing over her skin. Olivia, he began, voice low and honest. This is getting dangerous. Her throat tightened. I know. I wasn't supposed to like this, he went on. Any of this, the games, the questions, them calling your name, you sitting next to my grandmother. You laughing with my cousins, you... He paused for a moment. You wearing that dress and holding my hand like it's normal. It's not normal, she reminded him, even though her voice came out soft. It's one night. He nodded slowly. Exactly, one night. But it doesn't feel that way anymore. Her chest ached. What does it feel like then? He looked her straight in the eyes. It feels like I don't want it to end. For a second, she forgot how to breathe. Mateo, she whispered. You're saying things you might regret tomorrow. I don't think I will, he replied. There was a moment where neither of them said anything. The noise of the family stayed in the background, laughter, cutlery, voices. But in that small space near the stairs, the world had shrunk to just two people. Mateo stepped closer. Olivia, he said, lower now. Look at me. She did. He reached up and gently brushed his thumb along her cheek, moving a loose strand of hair away. You're shaking, he noticed. It's cold, she tried. Inside the house? He challenged. She smiled nervously. Okay, Maybe it's not the cold. His lips curved slightly. I'll fix it. Before she could ask what he meant, he moved. Matteo tilted his head and closed the distance between them. For a second, she thought he was going to kiss her right there, in front of everyone. But what he did was different. Softer. He touched his forehead to hers first. Her eyes closed on their own. Their breaths mingled. His hand at her waist pulled her a little closer. The other rested along the side of her face, thumb stroking her skin in the lightest caress. "Tell me to stop," he whispered. She didn't. He kept his forehead against hers for a few more seconds, like he was trying to memorize the feeling. And then, instead of going straight for her mouth, Matteo turned his head slightly and pressed his lips to her forehead. A simple kiss. Calm. Careful. But it hit Olivia deeper than anything else he could have done. He stayed there a little longer than necessary. When he pulled back, she opened her eyes slowly. "That didn't look fake," she said, almost in a whisper. He held her gaze. It didn't feel fake. The words hung between them. Her heart started racing again. "Matteo," she began, but she didn't even know where to start. He took a deep breath. "We can't have this conversation here." "Where then?" she asked. He glanced up at the stairs, then back at her. "Come with me." Olivia looked around quickly. The family was too busy with food and comments about the game to pay attention to them. Even so, going somewhere else with him felt like a huge step. "Matteo, if we disappear, they'll notice," she said. "They'll survive," he replied. "I need 5 minutes. Alone. With you. Without my cousin. Without questions. Without games." Just the way he said "alone with you" made her knees weak. "Please," he added, in a tone she had never heard from him before. She had no defense against that. 5 minutes, she agreed. He didn't think twice. Still holding her hand, Matteo started up the stairs, guiding her down a quieter hallway, away from the noise to a door at the end. He pulled a key from his pocket, unlocked it, and opened the door, revealing a smaller, more intimate office than the one in Manhattan, but with the same organized feel. Bookshelves, a wooden desk, an armchair, a window overlooking the garden. He walked in first, let her step inside, then closed the door behind them. The click of the lock sounded too loud in the silence of the room. Olivia stood near the desk, her heart racing at a speed she couldn't control. Matteo leaned his back against the door for a second, like he was forcing himself to breathe normally. "This is my grandfather's old office," he said. "No one uses it much anymore. No one will come in without knocking." "Okay," she answered, not really sure what else to say. He took a few steps until he stood directly in front of her. This time there were no family members, no games, no laughter to distract them, just the two of them, and all the words he'd been holding back all night. "Olivia," he began, "I need to know something." She swallowed. "What?" He searched her face like he was looking for a truth only she could give. "Is this just a role for you?" he asked. "Tonight. This thing. Us. Is it only an agreement for you?" The question fell over her with a weight she didn't expect. She could lie. She could say yes, that it was just a different kind of work, that on Monday everything would go back to normal, that she would walk into the office, sit behind her computer, and nothing would have changed. But if she said that, it would hurt, and the hurt was already an answer. "I tried to think of it as a role," she admitted. "I told myself it was just one night, that I would play the perfect fake girlfriend and go home. And now," he pushed, voice low. She looked up at him. "Now it doesn't feel fake anymore. Not when you look at me like that, not when you almost hit your cousin, not when you kissed my forehead in front of half your family." His jaw tightened. His hand moved, like he wanted to touch her again, but he held back. "So it's not just me," he said. She shook her head. "No." The breath he let out was long, heavy. "So tell me," he went on, "what happens after tonight? You go back to being my assistant and we pretend we never felt this?" Her chest constricted. "I don't know." "I do," he said, stepping closer, closing the distance even more. "I know I don't want to pretend." Her voice came out small. What do you want then? He looked straight into her eyes. I want to try this. For real. Without games. Without rules. Without it ending when the car drops you home. The room suddenly felt smaller. She had seen Matteo negotiate million-dollar deals with total coldness. She had seen him face dangerous men without moving a muscle in his face. But now he looked exposed. So I'm asking, he said, calm but with something intense holding every word together. If I kiss you now, for real, with no one watching, no game, no performance, are you going to tell me it's just part of the agreement? Her heart beat so fast it almost hurt. She didn't answer. Not with words. But she stepped closer, and that was all he needed. Matteo's hand rested along the side of her face, warm and steady, his thumb brushing her cheek in a slow, careful stroke. His forehead was only inches from hers, the air between them charged and quiet, as if the world had stopped just to watch what would happen next. Last chance, he whispered, voice low and rough. Tell me this is fake, and I'll stop. Olivia's breath trembled. She knew she should step back. She knew she should remind both of them, that this was supposed to be a one-night deal. That tomorrow morning she would go back to being his assistant, sitting at her desk, scheduling his meetings like nothing happened. But she didn't step back. She stepped closer. Matteo let out a soft exhale, relief, hunger, something deep, and lowered his head, his lips brushing the edge of hers in the faintest, most delicate touch. It wasn't a kiss, not yet, but it felt like one. Like the beginning of something the two of them might not be able to undo later. His fingers slid to the back of her neck, holding her gently, drawing her closer. She closed her eyes. He leaned in, and a knock exploded against the door. Matteo? Are you in there? Someone shouted from the hallway. They froze. Olivia's heart jumped into her throat. Matteo pressed his forehead against hers, eyes closed, jaw tight with frustration. You've got to be kidding me, he muttered in a low groan. Another voice came, higher and dramatic. Matteo, darling, dessert is melting. Come taste the tiramisu. It was Aunt Rosa. Of course it was. Olivia almost laughed, but she was afraid it would come out shaky. Matteo stepped back reluctantly, running a hand through his hair in frustration, a gesture she rarely saw him make. He looked undone, human, vulnerable. Give me a second, he said, composing himself before opening the door. He cracked it just enough to peek outside. Aunt Rosa gasped dramatically. Matteo Ricci, what are you doing hidden in here? And where is your girlfriend? Matteo clenched his jaw. We were talking. Rosa narrowed her eyes mischievously. Talking? In a locked room? At Christmas? She didn't wait for the answer. She pushed the door wider and spotted Olivia. Oh! Rosa exclaimed with a huge smile. There she is. Come, my dear. We need you both for the family photo. Before Olivia could react, Matteo placed a hand at her lower back again, grounding her, guiding her gently but firmly. We're coming, he said. Rosa winked on her way out. Don't take too long next time you two disappear. People will start rumors. Matteo shut the door behind them with a long breath. They're already talking. Olivia smiled nervously. Your family is intense. He looked at her then, really looked, and the softness in his eyes made her chest tighten. You okay? He asked, voice gentler now. She was still recovering from the almost kiss, the closeness, the confession he didn't finish. I'm fine, she whispered. You're not, he said softly. But you will be. He offered his hand again. She took it. The warmth of his palm wrapped around hers, and neither of them let go as they walked back into the noisy hallway. The living room looked even more chaotic than before. Kids ran with candy canes, a group of older relatives argued about football, and someone had turned up the Christmas music to a volume that made Olivia's chest vibrate. A tall uncle waved at them. Matteo! Olivia! Hurry! Family photo! They were pushed gently into place in front of the big tree. A photographer, probably another cousin, lifted his camera. Okay, everyone, squeeze in. Olivia tried to stand at the edge of the group, but Matteo tugged her closer, so she stood right in front of him. His arms came naturally around her waist, warm and protective, her back pressed against his chest. She could feel the steady rise and fall of his breath, the quiet strength in his hold. She tried to ignore the way her heart raced. The photographer counted down. 3, 2. Matteo leaned his mouth close to her ear. We will finish that conversation, he murmured. Olivia's breath caught. 1, the photographer said. The flash went off, but if someone asked Olivia later how that picture looked, she wouldn't remember. All she remembered was the feel of Matteo's breath against her skin and the promise in his voice. After the photo, people dispersed again. Matteo didn't let go of her hand. He didn't even try to hide it anymore. Come, he said, guiding her toward the dessert table. It was filled with everything: tiramisu, chocolate tarts, cannoli, and a massive panettone that looked taller than some of the children. Olivia picked up a small plate, trying to avoid eye contact with Matteo because every time their eyes met, she felt her heart try to escape her ribcage. You should try the tiramisu, he said, selecting a piece for her before she could decide. You're choosing for me now? She asked, amused despite herself. I'm helping, he corrected. You're controlling. I'm efficient. She laughed, a soft sound that made Matteo's expression warm in a way she had never seen at the office. He picked a fork, scooped a small piece of tiramisu and held it near her mouth. She blinked. You're feeding me? He shrugged one shoulder. Open your mouth. Olivia's cheeks went hot. The room suddenly felt much smaller, much louder, much warmer. But she parted her lips. Matteo fed her the bite slowly, watching her reaction with an intensity that made her knees weaken. Well, he asked. It's good, she admitted. He smirked. Told you. Before she could tease him back, a small group of his female cousins crowded around them, whispering loudly enough for everyone to hear. He's feeding her. Oh, this is serious. Matteo, are you in love? Look at his face, Matteo groaned. Can you all stop? No, one of them said. We've never seen you like this. Another added, You're glowing. I don't glow, Matteo protested. Olivia laughed again. His cousins gasped. Look, she's laughing. Matteo made someone laugh. This is a miracle. He put a hand over his face. I regret bringing you all to Christmas. You love us, they sang in unison. And then they skipped away. Olivia leaned closer to him. They're sweet. They're nosy, Matteo corrected. But sweet, she insisted. He looked at her. You really think so? Her smile softened. I think your family is loud, dramatic, overwhelming, but full of love. Matteo's expression changed, subtle, but real. Yeah, he said quietly. They are. For a moment he looked almost shy, like talking about family wasn't something he did often. Olivia touched his arm lightly. You did a good job with them. He raised an eyebrow. I didn't do anything. You did, she said. You let them see you. That's harder than pretending nothing matters. Matteo stared at her like she had just said something he didn't expect to hear. Something that hit deeper than it should have. You see too much, he murmured. I pay attention, she whispered. His hand found hers again, fingers intertwining. He squeezed. She squeezed back. From across the room, the grandmother suddenly called, Matteo, Olivia, come sit with me. Matteo tensed. Here we go. But Olivia smiled, tugging him gently. Come on, she likes you. She likes you, he corrected. She likes both. Doubtful. Olivia laughed as she pulled him toward the sofa where the grandmother sat wrapped in a knitted shawl. The older woman took Olivia's hand first, patting it warmly. My dear, she said sweetly, come sit with me. Olivia sat beside her. Then the grandmother patted Matteo's knee. You too. He sat reluctantly. Then the grandmother looked straight at Olivia, ignoring everyone else. You know, she said softly, I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you." Olivia felt the world go quiet. Matteo stiffened beside her. "Nonna." The grandmother waved a hand. "Don't argue. I have eyes." Olivia swallowed. "He's been very sweet tonight." "Sweet," the grandmother repeated with a proud nod. "He's changed, and you're the reason." Matteo looked down, jaw tight, as if the words did something to him. The grandmother took Olivia's hand again. "Don't let go of him too easily," she whispered. Olivia's chest ached. Before she could answer, Matteo stood abruptly. "We should check on something." His voice was low, controlled. He reached for Olivia's hand, helping her up. "Excuse us, Nonna." The grandmother nodded knowingly. As soon as they walked away, Matteo let out a long breath. "Matteo?" Olivia asked softly. He didn't answer at first. He just stopped in the hallway, turned to her, and looked at her like he was fighting with himself again. "That's twice tonight," he said. "Twice someone said I look at you differently." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Do you?" He stepped closer, slowly, intentionally, until her back brushed the wall and he stood inches away. "Yes," he said. The single word stole the breath from her lungs. His hand lifted, brushing her cheek, tracing the line of her jaw. "And the more I try to ignore it," he continued softly, "the worse it gets." Her heart pounded. "Matteo." He leaned in slightly, his nose brushing hers. "Before," he murmured, "I asked you something." She nodded. "You asked if this was just a role. And you said no." Her lips parted. "Yes." His gaze dropped to her mouth. "And I told you I don't want this to end tonight." She swallowed. "I remember." "Good," he whispered. He lifted a hand to cup her face fully, thumb stroking her cheek. "Because I still want to kiss you." Her knees nearly gave out. She whispered, "Then do it." Matteo inhaled sharply. Surprised, relieved, undone. But before he could close the distance, someone shouted, "Matteo, come open the champagne." He froze. "No," Matteo whispered, eyes closing in disbelief. "Not again." Olivia covered her mouth to hold back a laugh. He opened one eye. "Don't laugh." She laughed harder. He groaned dramatically. "Come on," she finally said, touching his chest gently. "Let's go before they break something." Matteo took her hand, but before walking away, he leaned close and murmured against her ear, "This conversation is not over." Her heart skipped. He squeezed her hand, and they walked back toward the noise. The doorbell cut through the noise like a sharp note. Conversation stopped. Laughter faded. Heads turned toward the big front door. Olivia felt Matteo's hand tense around hers. He didn't move, but his whole body shifted, the easy warmth from a second ago replaced by alert focus. "Do you know who that is?" she whispered. "No," he said quietly. Everyone was already here. A staff member crossed the entrance hall and opened the door. Cold air rushed in. A man stepped inside. Tall, dark coat, confident posture. He shook off some snow and looked around with a familiar ease that said he knew this house very well. Matteo exhaled under his breath. "Of course." "Who is he?" Olivia asked. "My Uncle Gabriel," Matteo said. "He lives out of the country. He wasn't supposed to come this year." Gabriel Ricci smiled wide when he saw Matteo and walked toward them, arms already open. "Matteo," he greeted. "I heard a rumor you finally brought someone home. I had to see it with my own eyes." The family parted like a wave, giving him a clear path to Matteo and Olivia. Gabriel reached them, hugged Matteo tightly, then leaned back and looked straight at Olivia. "And this must be the reason everyone is talking," he said warmly. "You must be Olivia." She nodded, suddenly nervous. "Yes, sir. It's nice to meet you." He took her hand, not in a flirtatious way, but with respect. "It's nice to meet the woman who made this one." He jerked his chin at Matteo. "Look almost human." A few people nearby laughed. Matteo rolled his eyes. "Is everyone coordinating the same joke tonight?" "Yes," Gabriel said, "because it is true." He released Olivia's hand and looked between them with clear curiosity. "So," Gabriel continued, "from what I heard on my way from the airport, this is serious?" Matteo didn't look away. Yes, he said. The word was simple, strong, no hesitation. Olivia's breath hitched. Gabriel raised his brows. Serious, as in not one of your usual arrangements? This is not an arrangement, Matteo said. His voice was so calm, so certain, that Olivia felt her heart stop for a second. Gabriel studied him, really studied him, then looked at Olivia again. Do you know what that means? He asked her gently. When Matteo says something is serious? Olivia swallowed. I'm starting to learn. Gabriel smiled. Good, we like you already. He clapped Matteo on the shoulder. Congratulations. It was about time, and just like that, the tension melted. The family went back to talking and laughing, accepting Gabriel's arrival as part of the chaos of the night. But for Olivia, the moment stayed sharp, clear, replayable. This is not an arrangement. He said it in front of his uncle, in front of whoever was listening, in front of her. She turned to look at him. Matteo, she said slowly. Did you mean that? He didn't pretend not to know what she meant. Yes, he said. Her voice was barely a whisper. You didn't hesitate. I didn't need to, he replied. She watched him for a long second, heartbeat loud in her ears. How long have you known? She asked quietly. That it wasn't just tonight? His eyes softened and something almost like a smile touched his mouth. Somewhere between the moment you got in that car, he said, and the moment my cousin tried to flirt with you. Her chest tightened. And you? He asked. When did you know? She looked down at their joined hands, at the way his fingers wrapped around hers like they belonged there. When you almost started a fight over me, she admitted. And when your grandmother said you never looked at anyone the way you look at me. He didn't look away. I don't, he said. The words sat between them, simple and heavy. The night moved on. Someone opened the champagne. Someone put on louder music. The kids started dancing in the middle of the living room. A few couples joined them. At some point, Aunt Rosa pushed a chair aside and clapped her hands. Dance! She shouted. It's Christmas. Music is playing. People are in love. Someone dance. A couple of relatives dragged each other to the center of the room. Then Rosa turned and spotted Matteo and Olivia standing near the tree. You two, she declared. Come here, dance. Olivia's eyes widened. Oh no, Rosa, Matteo started. We're fine here. No, Rosa insisted. If you do not dance at least once, I will never forgive you. A few cousins started chanting, Dance, dance, dance. Olivia felt her face heat up. She wasn't a terrible dancer, but she wasn't exactly the type who loved being the center of attention. Matteo looked at her, understanding written in his eyes. We can say no, he said quietly. If you don't want to, we don't. She took a breath. If she said no, the moment would pass. If she said yes, she looked at his outstretched hand. Yes, she said softly. His hand closed around hers, warm and firm. He led her to the center of the room, where the lights were a little softer and the music changed to something slower, smoother. Voices faded into the background. He slid one arm around her waist, drawing her close. Her hand went to his shoulder. Their eyes met. You sure? He asked. Yes, she said again, this time steadier. They began to move, not a perfect dance, not something rehearsed. Just a slow, simple sway, their bodies close, steps small, time to the music and the quiet understanding building between them. He looked down at her. You're very brave tonight, he said. I think I'm just tired of being scared of everything, she replied. Are you scared of me? He asked, not offended, just curious. I was, she said honestly. At the beginning. And now? She held his gaze, feeling the words come out without filter. Now I feel safer with you than with anyone else in the room. His throat worked. His hand pressed slightly at the small of her back, pulling her closer. You shouldn't say things like that, he murmured. Why not? Because then I'll never let you go. Her heart stumbled. Maybe I don't want you to, she said. He stopped moving for a second. The music continued. The family laughed nearby, but Matteo just watched her, as if those words had hit somewhere important. "You know what you're saying?" he asked quietly. "Yes," she said. "I know." He exhaled slowly, then started moving with her again, but this time his gaze never left her face. "Tell me something," he said. "On Monday, when you walk into the office, what do you expect to happen?" The question hurt and healed at the same time. She considered the safe answer, the cold one, the professional one, but she had crossed that line hours ago. "I don't want to go back to pretending," she admitted. "I don't want to stand outside your office with your coffee and act like tonight never happened." He nodded slowly. "Good." "Good?" she repeated. "Good," he said again. "Because I was going to ask you not to." Her breath caught. "What do you mean?" He paused, choosing his words. "I want this," he said. "You, us, for real. Not as a favor, not as a role, not because I need to calm down rumors. I want you because when I look at my life, you're the only part that makes sense." Her eyes stung with emotion. "And I know it's fast," he continued. "I know this is one night, one party, one fake story that turned into something else. So I'm not asking you to move in, or talk about forever, or make promises you're not ready to make." He lifted a hand to her face, fingers brushing the side of her jaw. "I'm asking you to let me take you on a real date," he said. "No family, no games, no rules. Just you and me, outside the office, outside this house. One night where we are not pretending anything." Her voice came out small. "That's all?" He smiled softly. "That's the beginning." She swallowed, heart full and tight. "And at work?" "At work things will change," he said. "You will still be my assistant if you want to, but I will stop pretending I don't see you. I will stop acting like the most important person in my day is just another name on my schedule." Her lips trembled. "And if it becomes too much for you," he added, "if working with me and being with me is too heavy, you tell me. We adjust, together. I won't let this ruin you or your life. I won't let us become something that hurts you." She stared at him, tears burning at the corners of her eyes in a way she didn't like, but couldn't control. "Why are you saying all of this?" she whispered. "Because you deserve to choose with your eyes open," he said. "Not just fall into something because the night is pretty and my family is loud and the lights are soft." He leaned closer, his forehead almost touching hers. "So I'm asking you now, while I'm sober, while I'm clear, while I know exactly what I'm saying." He murmured, "Do you want this? Not just tonight. Do you want me?" Her answer was instant. "Yes." His chest rose quickly. "Yes?" he repeated, like he needed to hear it twice. "Yes," she said again. "I want this. I want you." The music, the voices, the room faded. Matteo exhaled, something like tension finally breaking inside him. He cupped her face with both hands, thumbs brushing away the tears that had finally escaped. "Then I'm going to kiss you now," he said quietly. "For real. No interruptions." She gave a small, shaky laugh. "You sure about that? Your family is—" "I'll lock the universe if I have to," he muttered, and then he kissed her. There was no hesitation this time, no almost, no interruption. His mouth covered hers in a slow, deep, certain kiss that pulled everything else away. His hands framed her face firmly but gently. Her fingers curled into his shirt, pulling him closer. The world shrank to the warmth of his lips, the way he tilted his head to fit her better, the way he tasted like champagne and something familiar that already felt like home. He kissed her like he had been holding back for years, not hours. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing a little harder, he rested his forehead against hers again. "Definitely not fake," she whispered. He smiled, really smiled this time, wide, full, genuine. "Not even a little," he said. Someone whistled from across the room. They turned to see half the family pretending not to stare, while the other half openly clapped. Rosa dabbed her eyes with a napkin. "My job is done," she said dramatically. Christmas miracle. The grandmother, from her armchair, nodded once with satisfaction. Ethan lifted his glass in surrender. Fine. I'll stop bothering her. I don't want to die. Mateo laughed under his breath. Smart decision. Olivia couldn't stop smiling. She should have felt embarrassed. She should have felt exposed. But all she felt was right, seen, wanted, chosen. Mateo pressed a soft kiss to her temple. Do you want to stay longer? He asked quietly. Or leave soon? She thought about it. We can stay a little, she said. I like them. He nodded. They like you too. And then? She asked. And then I take you home, he said, and ask when I can see you again. You already have my calendar, she reminded him. I want the version you don't show anyone, he replied. The part with your free nights. She smiled. We'll negotiate. I always win, he said. Not always, she teased. He looked at her, eyes warm and full and strangely soft for a man like him. I did tonight, he said. She laughed. We both did. Hours later, after gifts, hugs, more food, more teasing, and countless glances that never lost their warmth, Mateo slipped her coat over her shoulders at the door. The night outside was cold and quiet, snow beginning to fall in soft flakes. The driver waited with the car already warm. Mateo opened the door for her. She paused, turning to look back at the house. Through the big windows she could still see his family, talking, laughing, living their noisy Christmas lives. How do you feel? He asked. Like I just stepped into someone else's story, she admitted. And I don't want to leave it. You're not leaving it, he said quietly. You're part of it now. He helped her into the car, then slid in beside her. As the car pulled away from the house, Olivia leaned back against the seat. Mateo took her hand again. Tell me something, he said softly. Do you still want that week off in January? She looked at him, surprised he remembered. Yes, she said. I do. Good, he said. You're going to need time to rest. From what? She asked, amused. From me, he said honestly. I work a lot. I plan to see you a lot. You'll need balance. She laughed. You plan to see me a lot? Every day I can, he said. Her heart warmed. Okay, she said. Deal. You negotiate fast, he teased. I work for you, she replied. He lifted their joined hands and pressed a kiss to her knuckles. You don't just work for me anymore, he said. What am I then? She asked softly. He looked straight into her eyes. Mine, he said. If you still want to be. She smiled, feeling the simplest, clearest truth settle inside her chest. I do, she said. He smiled back. The city lights passed by outside as the car drove through the December night. For the first time in a long time, Olivia didn't think about emails, alarms, schedules, or meetings. She thought about Mateo, about their fake story that had turned completely real, about the way he had said this is not an arrangement in front of his family, about the fact that tomorrow, next week, next month, she would walk into his office not just as the woman who kept his life organized, but as the woman he had chosen to stand beside him, not just for one Christmas night, but for everything that came after. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.